Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Girl Get Up podcast. I am your host, the Aquarian Chancellor, and this is the podcast where I share my stories. I invite my guests to come on and they share their stories, all in hopes that it inspires you, the listening audience, to go out and discover your infinite. With all that being said, I have guests today of Distinct Art Media. Welcome, Dennis and Tessa. How are you this morning?
Hey, Chauncey, thank you so much for having us.
It's a lot of information.
Yeah, it is. And it's not even scratching the surface. But you two are some perfect guests to have today to talk about career and building businesses. So if you could share, just to start, if you could share with the audience who you are and what you do.
We are Distinct Art Media. Tessa and I are a photographer and videographer and styling and model coach, model coaching duo.
Okay. Tessa,
Oh.
because I know that's not it for her.
Yeah, so my job, I usually I'm like a people person of our little duo. So he's the talent and the artist. I guess I'm just the
She's an artist too, in her own way.
I like directing people, I like working with people, I like coaching people. So a lot of the times when we work together, he can just focus on the shot and I can focus like interacting. I think my specialty is just being able to communicate with people and explain things in a way that sometimes he doesn't do it.
I'm in my own little bubble.
Yeah,
all
and
the
I
time.
love to work on styling with people. So sometimes people they want to shoot, but a lot of the times they're like, I have no idea what to wear. So I'll help them put together outfits or just really be that second eye. Like sometimes photographers show up and it's just like one of them, and I feel like you miss a lot of stuff. Even when I'm behind the camera and I'm shooting, there's only so much that you can see from the lens. So I'm just that second pair of eyes to make sure that, someone's tag isn't on their clothes or they don't have a hair tie on their arm or something like that. Cause like those little things happen. And it's like this little attention to detail, I feel like is what really sets us apart.
That is so important. I had a chance to look at you guys' site and I'm like, this is amazing. This is fantastic. Like you guys really, really do good work. And it's professional. Like you can tell, like you guys
Yeah.
get into a lot of magazines. And so that's it's those attention to detail factors, that ability that you have is so important. So thank you for sharing
Like
that
looking
with
at
the
an outfit that
audience.
someone wears and I'm like, oh, that might be better if you don't do that or if you wear that. And then that like slowly progressed to me like, bringing full wardrobe for people and then using my ability to coach people. Like I coached people in the wind tunnel for 5 years. And I was like, oh, once I understood a little bit more what to look for, because I worked with him, I modeled for him, I understood what he was looking for, but sometimes like certain people just have a different way of explaining it. So
Mhm.
like I knew what he wanted and I knew that I'm a good coach to explain it. So I just started like being able to coach people. So it just kind of like it was one of those things that like nothing was ever planned. It was just like, oh, there's a hole and my abilities can fill that hole. So let me just step in there and then let me just step in there. So that's kind of how it snowballed. And I'm like, hey, I really do like this. I really like the whole production value of what we do. I really like having a vision and being able to execute it. Like that's very
Mhm.
rewarding. So I just feel like there's a lot of things probably coming in our future just because I feel like every day it's one of those things. Like it's a growing thing to see something that you like and then slowly get into that and see where that unravels, job with some musicians,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Mhm.
I was just thinking, one of the things, because one of my questions was going to be, so as a solopreneur, there's a lot of people who are in just starting businesses. They're doing it by themselves. Maybe they can't afford to have a professional photo shoot, but you would enjoy some tips and tricks of how they can be able to successfully take their own pictures and it looks, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
YouTube channel teaching that type of stuff would be awesome.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
If you're teaching,
What are some
do a
tips?
video on like,
Like a selfie course or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I would say
without
that
giving away everything, what are some tips and tricks that help business owners who might be taking their own photos?
yeah, I would just say make sure the lighting is good where it's like more of a flat, even light
The
would
window
be
light?
very window light facing toward the window or some big light source just to make it flat and even. It's very easy. Make sure the camera is not too close to your face because it can distort your features if it's too close. Doesn't matter what camera it is. If the camera's close, it's gonna make your middle of your face big.
I feel like people do that all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so have it a little bit further away. If you're taking like a shot from maybe your head to your knees, make sure the camera is not at your face. Make sure it's like kind of like level with your chest. Right. If you're taking a full body shot, maybe level towards your belly button, right? Because you don't want to tilt it up or down. It's gonna make, your head look big compared to your body. So yeah, so it's all about the angles.
All
Those are
about
some
the
easy
Yeah.
angles.
tips.
So that's like Spanish to me. Seriously, because we don't know, you know what I mean? Like we are professionals in our own area of study.
Yeah.
So to say, oh, okay, well now, to save me a little bit of money, I'm going to take my own photos. I can sit somewhere and put the ring light, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And think that I'm doing a great job, but then I'm missing all of those small details that you have an eye. Dennis, had an opportunity to look at your YouTube, one of your YouTube videos about starting over. My question to you, and I found myself in that same place because I had an idea of how I wanted things to go with my business. And of course, you know what I mean, life, and it didn't work out the way that I thought. So what have you learned about yourself and about business and starting over on this journey and defining success for yourself?
Great question. I mean, I felt the company that I was working for, I worked for them for 16 years, right? And, over the past 4 years, I've had this feeling that it wasn't going to go any further, that it was going to start to go under. And that was like my biggest fear, right? Just losing everything I had. And the beginning of last year, I started to feel like it was coming. And so, being new here in the country as well, I just started building up my credit, right? I registered the business. I started working on it slowly. And yeah, this year, yeah, it was kind of rough. Sorry, there's a lot of thoughts.
No, that's real.
Um,
That's real. That's a real thing.
Yeah,
Because
I
you
guess
have to remove a lot of expectations and be okay with, and I'm gonna share this. I was interviewing a writer. She's a screenwriter, and I was asking her because a script is only 120 pages, but you might have a book that's 350. And so I was asking, well, how do you choose what goes into the book? And she said, well, start by disconnecting your emotions from your project. And I said, disconnect how you supposed to do that? Like, this is your baby. And our businesses are our baby. We put a lot of hard work into it. And so to see something not come out the way that you thought that it should, you have to kind of like take your emotions out of it and just think about it from a data perspective is what someone told me. Yeah, so so that's a real thing, and I can understand like the emotion that you had behind it.
Yeah. So the beginning of last year was really bad. So I started working on my own business or with my wife, and um,
I was
I was
I was
I was
encouraging him to do so very kindly.
I was planning for the worst,
Mhm.
and it came like in a way that I didn't nobody knew was gonna happen. It was very abrupt, and I was just left out on my own. I'm from Canada, so I recently just immigrated here. Like I said, I was building my credit. I didn't have a driver's license. uh, had to do all this stuff so fast, and there's extreme pressure on me. The cost of living is very high here. So, what I did was just cast up the widest net I could. Just tried every single angle that I could to try to break through to anywhere to try to make money. And I did that, and it was quite slow. It's quite slow. So some things are starting to catch now. We're getting more calls, right? We're seeing some income come in. We're reconnecting with those people that we kind of had a disconnect with after the company fell apart. So it's starting back up again, and I'm hopeful, but it's been really rough. Like for me, I like I said, it was my biggest fear, and I never thought I could handle it. And I'm, pushed to the edge of what I can handle
Welcome to the
sometimes.
Girl Get Up podcast,
And
the podcast that inspires you, the listening audience, to go out and discover your infinite possibilities. You can catch the Girl Get Up podcast every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.